Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chase's Sports News. There's a lot to talk about in Philly sports. It's one of the greatest sports cities, and we have one of their greatest radio hosts to speak with. Joining the show today, WIP radio host, one of the greatest ever, and someone who knows Philly sports just as great as anyone, Paul Jolovitz. Jolly, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Nice to be here, Chase. Hope you're having a great day and hope everybody's having a great summer. What's up?
Everything's great. I'm having a great summer. It's great to see you again. I know I've now spoken multiple times at some different camps and stuff. So I'm so glad I'm finally able to get you on the podcast here. Obviously, you're so well known in Philadelphia. For some of the audience that doesn't know about your work, just tell them a little bit about yourself and how you've managed to become one of the top radio hosts in Philadelphia.
Well, thanks for the nice words, Chase. I wanted to play baseball, but God decided I wasn't going to do that. Didn't quite have the talent. I went to the University of Pennsylvania here in Philadelphia. I'm from Washington, D.C. I went to Penn, got a degree in accounting and economics, but I always wanted to be in sports. So I did the radio at Penn, Chase, which I can give advice to any kids watching this. Do whatever you can. Do it right, broadcast. I worked for the radio station. I worked for the TV station. I did everything there at Penn, although I didn't have a degree in broadcasting. Penn doesn't have any broadcasting classes. When I graduated, I worked at a TV station called Prism. I also had a regular job for about 10 years. And then a radio job opened up. And I interviewed a guy named Scott Boras. You ever heard of Scott Boras?
Of course, the great the agent in baseball.
Well, I did an interview with him and for about an hour on a little radio station called in New Jersey, basically. And I got a note on my desk the next day called WIP. And I called WIP. That was in 1997. And I've been here ever since. That was called WTTM. And I'm at WIP and very happy. And what's up? Let's rock and roll, Chase.
Glad to have you here. You had so much success, and your opinions are some of the best I know, well thought out. You're very entertaining to listen to, so I'm so glad to
Thank
have
you.
you on today. We're going to break down a ton of Philly sports, but I think perhaps your most popular take is your criticism of James Harden and his production in the playoffs. Just please reiterate to the audience your opinion on the beard and what he could provide to an NBA team.
You can't provide anything to an NBA team, Chase. You can provide heartache and misery. James Harden, Chase, I'm going to tell you something you may disagree with, but I'll always think this. Stats are for losers. Never define a person by stats. Stats are always important as a guide to what a person does. Lamar Jackson, James Harden, Jalen Hurts, anybody. But if you go by just stats, that's very, very wrong. Analytics is a tool. It should be used partially, not all of it. The eye test. How does a player do under pressure? To me, Chase, a player is defined by how he does under pressure. I don't really care what he does in the regular season, which is where Lamar Jackson has a problem. James Harden is a very talented guy, scores a lot of points, does nothing in the playoffs, is a bad guy, goes to nightclubs, says he makes it rain, never helps a team in the playoffs. If I could have James Harden for free this year and he wouldn't count against my salary cap, I wouldn't take him. He's my least favorite athlete of all time, anywhere ever. And he was that before he ever came to Philadelphia. I can't stand him. He'll never win. And why teams keep paying him, I have no idea.
James Harden, it feels like the talent is always there. And finally this year, I mean, call me silly again, and I was finally all in on this Los Angeles Clippers team. I thought, you got Kawhi Leonard, you got James Harden, he was playing well in that series, but just as always, he disappointed in game 7. And the conversation is going to be, can Harden ever get over the hump? Until he does, because right now he's really struggling. And as he gets older, that's only going to become a much harder problem he's going to have to grapple with. So obviously, James Harden, I know your opinion on him. He's one of the most popular players, but you're right. He is yet to capture a championship or really do anything to contribute to winning basketball.
Chase, I normally won't say this, but this is where age and experience if you've watched James Harden over the years, you're a young guy, a lot of your listeners are young. I expected this to happen. I'm never all in. I've seen it 10 times before. I've seen the movie Clippers in the playoffs, James Harden in the playoffs. It always ends the same way. So I'll never be all in. I'll never think he's going to win. They didn't. I expected it. I expected game 7. Nothing new. Yawn. Next.
Let's talk about some Philly sports here. The Philadelphia 76ers, you cover them a ton. They went with VJ Edgecombe at 3rd overall, though they got your favorite prospect in the whole class, Johni Broome, at 35th overall. What were your thoughts on Philly's draft?
Well, I also can't stand Daryl Morey, our general manager. He's a loser. He'll never win anything. He's condescending to the fans. I think he's a very smart guy, Chase, a very smart guy, high IQ, but used information the wrong way. He's all about analytics, which is fine, but he doesn't take anything else into account. You know what doubling down means, Chase?
Yeah.
He makes mistakes twice, like James Harden, like always stars and this, that, the other. But Daryl Morey made a good draft pick in Janai Broom. I like Janai Broom. He's player of the year at Auburn. Not a freak athlete, obviously. 22 years old, which is like 80 in NBA draft years. I like the pick a lot. And you got to admit that. Even though I hate Daryl Morey, I don't hate him. I sports hate him. I thought it was a good pick. VJ Edgecombe, we'll see. I didn't think they should have taken him at 3. I didn't think they should have used the pick at 3. I would have traded down. I don't know for what. I like, Kyle Kneppel. I liked a few guys in this draft. Derek Queen and others, Walter Clayton. So I wouldn't have used Edgecombe at 3. We'll see. They already have guards in Maxey and McCain, who got hurt last year. Joel Embiid's always hurt. The Sixers are going nowhere, Chase, nowhere. If they were a stock, I don't know if you understand the stock market, I would sell them. I would short them quickly. They're going to go nowhere. I like them, but I'm also honest enough to understand they're going nowhere. Joel has to stay healthy for them to have a chance. I love Joel. He's always hurt. Paul George was a horrible signing last year. He's always hurt. He's never won anything. Again, these guys have never performed under pressure. Daryl Morey is an idiot, and they're going nowhere. It sucks for Philadelphia fans. It really does.
So you just mentioned how you don't believe this Sixers team is really going anywhere. But if Joel Embiid and Paul George are able to stay healthy, and these pieces are able to stay healthy, in a perfect world, can you see this team even close to a contending level again with their current core?
What does close to a contending level mean, Chase?
I mean, I get at least a team that we saw a few years ago that could at least get to the second round and feel like they're in championship contention in some level.
I don't consider second round championship contention, Chase. They've never been past the second round in 4 years after this quote unquote process, tanking, money general managers. They never made it past the second round. That to me is not contending. You got to get at least to the Final Four, the conference finals. So I hate to say this to Philadelphia fans. No, I don't think they can contend. Could they get lucky and do it? Sure. Anybody can do anything at any time. That's why sports is a great thing, because anybody can do anything, no matter how big a long shot they are. Paul George is not a winner. I'm not sure Joel's a winner. I think Joel is an incredibly talented athlete who's a baby inside. He likes to troll on Twitter, silly stuff like that. Not totally dedicated, I don't think, in the playoffs. Maybe that's unfair, but results speak for themselves. Unfortunately, Chase, no, I don't think they can contend no matter what, other than the mathematical chance that everybody has.
Right, absolutely. I mean,
and that's with the East having, Milwaukee's done with Lillard having all his problems. Obviously, with Halliburton, with Jason Tatum, the East is wide open. I still don't think the Sixers are ready to kick that door in.
It will be interesting to see how the Eastern Conference does end up next year, who the seeds are going to be, who gets out of that conference. It feels like New York has to be the favorite with the situations, but that's a different story for a different day. Let's go back to your draft talk a little bit. You said you didn't love the Edgecombe pick. I remember when I spoke with you before the NBA draft, you said your 5 favorite prospects were Broom, Walter Clayton Jr., Derek Queen, Kamad Malawach, and Kanku Neppel. That does not include Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, or VJ Edgecombe, the top 3 picks in the draft. What goes into how you evaluate? What did you say? Yeah.
Let me correct that for a second. Those are my 5 favorite prospects outside of Cooper Flagg. Okay. I like Cooper Flagg. I didn't think anybody was worth the 3rd pick. I don't have anything against VJ Edgecombe. I like VJ Edgecombe. Nice kid, good player. 18 years old, has a lot of growing to do. I just didn't think he was good enough to be picked at 3. Period.
Well, what kind of goes in, though, to how you evaluate your draft prospects on who you think is going to be great?
That's a great question, Chase. Part of it's feel. Not everything in sports can be defined. I can't say if you average 11 points or 6'9", have spent 4 years in Connecticut in your life. I can't do stuff like that quantifiable. It's just a feel thing. Draft is a feel thing for everybody. Everybody in professional sports thinks a guy can be good. You're trying to project what somebody can be, not what they are now. And that's difficult. I just don't. I saw VJ come a few times this year. It's hard to explain. It's a feel thing. I just don't think he is going to be great. And maybe he is. I hope I'm wrong. He's a Philly guy. Now, fans love him. He's a nice kid. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to be great. And the Sixers have plenty of guards. They have Maxey. They have, McCain. if they re-sign Grimes, they're too small. So part of it's Edgecombe and part of it's the situation he's going into. He would have been fine 7 or 8. I just thought they could have got more value for the pick. Edgecombe might be a very good player, and I hope he is.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about if they would trade down. There was not as much movement kind of in the earlier portions of the draft as maybe some expected or anticipated. I think that shocked many on draft night. Let's transition here. You have a Philadelphia Phillies polo on. Let's transition to the diamond. The Phillies are once again contenders. You talked about having to make the Final Four. They've done that. They've made a World Series, but their offense went cold in June. They were 22nd in runs scored in the month and couldn't win during some elite pitching performances. Now they have gotten better in July, though this team still hasn't won many games in the month compared to what maybe some would expect. What is kind of the key to this team returning to the elite level that they were at in April and May?
Chase, you do your homework. I like that. You're going to go far in this business. You got your facts. They have gotten great pitching from Zach Wheeler and Chris Sanchez and Ranger Suarez. And the other day, Jesus Luzardo got Aaron Nola hurt. Andrew Painter, big prospect waiting in the wings. They need to hit, but they need a reliever or two. They have no closer. Their bullpen's been a problem. The starter leaves with a lead. Bullpen blows it. They haven't had enough hitting. They need outfield hitting. They need right-handed power. They're very left-handed. They haven't put it all together. They're very good. Dave Dombrowski's under a lot of pressure to make some moves at the deadline, some big moves. He's made little moves the last couple of years. He's made big moves for other franchises. He's won 2 World Series. He hasn't done it here. And people here, as you know, are very, very impatient. It's the toughest town in America, and I love it because of that. Dave Dombrowski's got to come on, and then you got to get lucky. You got to avoid injuries. You got to play well. They need a little more hitting, and they need relief pitching. The starting pitching, Chase, is great.
So you're talking about that starting pitching rotation. It looks incredible as now, as you just mentioned. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, incredible. Sanchez has been there as well. But if everyone is healthy, and that includes Aaron Nola, where does he fit in this playoff push?
Who's he, Aaron Nola?
Yeah.
If he's healthy and comes back, listen, you got to earn things in life. I don't ever put people in places because they're who they are. I don't care what your name is. I don't care who you are. You got to earn it. I'm not saying if Zach Wheeler has a hangnail and misses a start, he's out of the rotation. That's not what I'm saying at all. Aaron's missed a few months. He never missed a start in his career, basically, until now for 8 years. Very durable, but he's had some problems. He's got to pitch well. If he pitches well, to me, he's probably your 4th starter right now. Luzardo could be. Luzardo's kind of in and out. He's had some great outings, some bad outings. So Aaron's part of the mix. I don't see Aaron being a bullpen guy. He's not really a relief pitcher. He can't blow people away. It's going to be very interesting. It's a great question about Aaron Nola that a lot of people are wondering here, Chase. Do you have Painter coming? Who knows what he'll be? The top 3 are the top 3. We only need 3 starters in the playoffs, an occasional 4th because of the off days. So I can't tell you what Aaron Nola is going to be now, but I can tell you that the top 3 are Wheeler and Suarez and Sanchez. It's up to Nola to crack that, not his name, his game.
So you mentioned some of maybe the additions that they're going to need at the trade deadline. They're going to need some right-handed power, as you mentioned. You need some more stability in the bullpen. Who are some guys you think Philadelphia should target at the trade deadline? And who do you believe they would be willing to give up in exchange?
Another great question. I think Philadelphia wants team control, Chase. In sports these days, in baseball, control is a big issue. How long is a guy signed for? How long can you have him for? Like Aroldis Chapman. I don't know if Boston sells him or not. He's going to be a free agent this year. They may want to get something for him. They may want to make a run at a playoff run themselves because they're playing pretty well right now. Aroldis Chapman, if he's available, but they're not going to give up a lot for a rental. In other words, the guy's going to be a free agent this year. Joan Duran of Minnesota. Helsley of St. Louis. Emmanuel Clase has a couple years of control in Cleveland. He's a closer. He'd be very good. He was great last year. Had a little trouble in the playoffs. Those guys, Bautista in Baltimore. Not a big Mason Miller fan in Oakland. I like him, but never pitched in a playoff game. Hadn't had a great year this year. Those are a few guys. You give up what you got to give up. It's a seller's market. You know what I mean by a seller's market, Chase?
Yes.
Okay, a lot of teams are selling because, a lot of teams are buying rather because a lot of teams are near wild card contention or in playoff contention. Not many teams are selling. That's called supply and demand, and that drives the price up. So it's going to be expensive. Dave Dombrowski's got to be ready to part with some of his big prospects because you may have to pay a lot. You may have to overpay for what he gets, but he's got to do it. You can't be afraid to overpay. You got to get what you need. The Phillies are over 30 years old in a lot of areas. Harper, Castellanos, Wheeler, Nola, blah, 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 Real Muto. they need to win now, and they need to pay to do it. It's up to Dave Dombrowski to figure out a way, but he's got to do it now.
So just overall in general, you mentioned some of the age of these players in Philadelphia. Do you believe when you have a core that really like planning for the future and these two timeline ideas not great, you just got to go all in on one era?
I don't believe anything in general, Chase. I think people in sports, people in life who succeed in anything, sports, finance, towels, whatever it might be, they look at the exact situation that they're in, not do teams need to do this, do teams need to do that. In the Phillies situation, they got some kids coming, a couple, and their minor league system is stronger, but they have Harper. They signed long term for a ton. Trey Turner, Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber's going to be a free agent. All guys over 30. So I think the Philadelphia Phillies, this 2025 Philadelphia Phillies, having failed the last few years in a baseball mad city, yes, I think they have to go all in right now. Not always, but this team, yes.
Let's transition right here across the street. Let's go to Lincoln Financial Field. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit. Super Bowl champions, and they didn't really have to go through many challenges in the postseason. It felt they kind of cruised their way into that Super Bowl and crushed Kansas City's hopes of a three-peat. With the way this team is positioned, do you believe they're projected to do similar things again?
Well, they're the best team in the NFL, Chase. Best team doesn't always win. You got injuries. You got close games. The ball's got to bounce right. Playoffs are not best of 7. They're one game. So if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and have a bad day, you could be gone. It happens to teams all the time. It's happened to the Ravens a bunch of times. So do I think the Eagles are the best position to win again with the moves in the offseason? The players, they lost some free agents. They brought in some kids. They're a young defense. Their offense is terrific. Are they the best team? Yes. Does that guarantee anything? No. That's why sports is so much fun. But I love the Eagles going into this season. Tough schedule, and a lot of things are tough. Nobody's won the division. I don't know if you know this. Nobody's won the NFC East twice in a row in 20 years. There's only 4 teams. It's an amazing mathematical stat. But I think they're the best team. But the fun of sports is you got to prove it, and we'll see.
And I've actually been using that stat a lot. I mean, who knows if Dallas can maybe put something together if Dak and things go well there. I mean, Washington could improve, though. I think we could possibly expect a sophomore slump. Who do you believe? Do you believe it is likely that Philadelphia could lose out in the division and continue the streak?
No, win the division. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a very strong choice to win the division. Again, they got a tough schedule. There's no guarantee. Jaden Daniels had a great year last year. I think Washington is really the only contender. Dallas is a name. Dallas is nothing. I don't worry about Dallas at all. They haven't been to a conference championship game in 30 years. People keep talking about them. Screw that. Forget them. The Giants stink. So basically, it's the Eagles and the Commanders. And you may be right about a sophomore slump. We'll see. Everybody's got to face that. They got a good team. Their owner, Josh Harris, also owns the 76ers and the Devils, by the way. Interesting. He went to Penn with me. I think the Eagles are a better team. They play the Commanders twice late in the year. I don't think the Cowboys are really a threat, but on any given day, the Cowboys could beat you. But I think the Eagles and the Commanders will duel it out in the East and among many big duels in the NFL. It should be fun. Football always is.
So let's talk about how this team was able to get there last year. Colin Cowherd, one of my favorite sports radio hosts, he explained the Eagles last year before they won the Super Bowl as the couple that always argues, but yet you blink and it's their 40th wedding anniversary. Just talking about how he felt like it was dysfunctional there, but yet they still won. What do you think changed or happened behind the scenes with Sirianni and his players that allowed them to get over that hump and get hot at the right time?
I hate to say this, but I don't think Colin Cowherd knows what he's talking about, Chase. You have to be in a city to see what's going on in the city. Where's the dysfunction? Ask Colin to point out where all this dysfunction is. Are there spats? Are there arguments? Sure, every team has that. Every family has that. But they're not a dysfunctional team. They didn't have Terrell Owens here. Jalen Hurts said something on the sidelines to A.J. Brown one time. Sirianni had a terrible second half 2 years ago. He reclaimed the team in the offseason, did well last year. They had 2 new coordinators. I would strongly disagree with Colin that they had all these spats. They have a great offensive line coach. They reached their potential. They played well defensively under Vic Fangio, who was unbelievable this year. A lot of the second-year guys, Jalen Carter was very good. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, rookie cornerbacks. They got a lot of great play at the right time. I would argue strongly with the dysfunction thing. Every team has some. The Eagles didn't have any more than anybody else.
The Philadelphia Eagles, whether it's for something bad like it was 2 years ago, or their coordinators are going to better jobs. Jalen Hurts now, I think, has had a new coordinator every single season, if I'm correct, or at least this will be the fourth straight season with a new offensive coordinator. How impressive is it to you that Jalen Hurts can continue to find success with a new offensive coordinator when some quarterbacks seem to just peak under one OC?
Another great question, Chase. You're good at this. Jalen Hurts is a very impressive guy. Here, a lot of disagreement about Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Some people don't love him because he doesn't put up the great stats. He doesn't put up 300 yards every game. He doesn't throw 88 touchdown passes. What he does is win. They had Saquon Barkley last year. They changed their offense to a run-based offense after Game 5. They were 2-2 last year, and then they kind of changed their offense during the bye week to Barkley. You see what he did. And Jalen accepted that. Some guys wouldn't have accepted that. They want to throw for all these yards. Stats are for losers. Another example, Jalen Hurts. He runs. He does a tush push. We know that. He's a threat to do everything. He forces defense coordinators to change the way they approach the quarterback. Like you said, he's had 4 coordinators in 4 years. All he does is win. He did it at Alabama. Didn't quite do it at Oklahoma. He was only there a year. But he wins. And that's what sports is all about.
So, you mentioned earlier, you've said to me many times now, winning is everything, stats and individual awards in the regular season should not matter. So when we have this conversation about Jalen Hurts, he just won a Super Bowl MVP. How would you now compare him to the Josh Allens, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrows of the world, who seem to have more individual talent and more individual accolades, but haven't even, or Burrow's gotten there once, but I mean, Allen and Lamar haven't even gotten to the Super Bowl. Hurts has got there twice and played well in both games.
I played Mahomes both times. We argue this all the time on WIP in Philadelphia, Chase. Every day, all day, it seems like, not quite, but I would take Jalen Hurts right behind Pat. Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. To me, it's very hard to argue that and make any kind of realistic point. He's in a class by himself right now. Other than that, I'll take Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. I'll take Jalen Hurts over Lamar Jackson. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's been kind of compromised by his team a little bit. But Joe Burrow's a better quarterback. All those guys are better quarterbacks than Jalen Hurts on a practice field, talent-wise. But Jalen Hurts finds ways to do things that they haven't. Lamar Jackson, say what you want. I don't care what the team's done. He hasn't found a way to do it in the playoffs. And that's like a 10,000-pound brick on his head, and it won't change until he goes to and wins, not goes to, wins a Super Bowl. Same with Josh Allen, never been there. Got to win. So I'll take Jalen Hurts. It's a team sport, not a one-guy thing. But give me Jalen Hurts over all 3 of those guys, and give me all 3 of those guys over Jalen talent-wise. Talent is only one ingredient in the pie, but the pie tastes better with Jalen Hurts.
That's a great way to put it. I feel like all these quotes, I feel like I got to make a book of quotes from Paul Jolovitz. This is incredible. All of these things I feel like I'm going to use in the future. This has been amazing. What'd you say?
Don't use too many. You can get in trouble. Say whatever you find to use whatever you want, but whatever. That's fine. I have a few sayings here that stats are for losers, that kind of thing. But I think they're true. I don't have to quote. See, I don't say things, Chase, to say things. So people say Jolly said this or Jolly said that. I say something because I believe in it. No hot takes. I truly believe in them. Am I always right? No. Just believe in what you say all the time, and good things will happen no matter what you do in life.
I love that advice. And honestly, that's kind of how we're going to wrap up this episode here, real quick. I mean, you've had so much success. You've been around the sports market. You've been with athletes. You've been with coaches. You've been with general managers. You've been with agents. You've been with owners. You've really been around the block a time or two, as they say. And you've been in this environment for a long time. For someone like myself, what would be your key piece of advice to an aspiring sportscaster like myself and others who want to get to the point that you're at now?
I love what you're doing, Chase. You got a podcast. When I was your age, we didn't have computers, much less podcasts. We didn't have cell phones. I grew up in what you guys would consider the dark ages, but life is what it is. There's something right now, Chase, that isn't in society now that when you're my age will be routine and kids will have it. And you say, well, I didn't have that advantage growing up. You have a lot of advantages that people my age didn't have. You have information at your fingertips. You have the ability to do this and get better. Just keep trying. Whatever you want to do in life, sportscasting in this case, get any kind of job you can, volunteer, do this, write, broadcast. I have a lot of friends in this business who didn't think they were going to like what they did when they first did it. I was a play-by-play guy, and I never wanted to write. And then I wrote one day for somebody who needed an article written, and I fell in love with it, and I'm a writer now, or other areas. So keep working, work hard, do what you do, keep practicing, get better, don't give up. Remember, if you knock on 1,000 doors, Chase, and one answers, you're a success, right? You don't have to bat 1,000 in life. You don't have to bat 300. You have to get one person to give you that first opportunity, and then you kick in the door. And you're doing a great job. Keep working. Do whatever you can in school. As much whether you go for broadcasting or not, just work for the radio station, work for the TV station, work for the paper. Do as much as you can, and you're going to make it in this world, Chase. Because listen, there's 3 ways to make it. You can either be a superstar, a retired superstar. That doesn't work for me. It's probably not going to work for you. Your father can own the world and buy you whatever he wants. That didn't work for me. Probably not going to work for you. Or you can work hard and come up and do it the right way, and hopefully that'll work for you. And hopefully it worked for me.
Jolly, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. It means a lot.
Thank you, Chase. My pleasure. And hope everybody has a great summer. Go to broadcasting camp, Steve's camp. It's a great thing. And Jeremy's camp. Have fun with it. I look forward to seeing you next year, Chase. And again, God bless and cheerio.
Thank you. We're going to sign off here alongside Paul Jolovitz, one of the biggest radio hosts in Philadelphia. I'm your host, Chase Coburn, saying so long from Chase's Sports News.